Welcome. Good morning to you all. We're so happy that we're all here. And today we're going to go ahead and do the social exchange that we're going to do today of our homework is very productive, we hope. And we're going to start with our invocation this morning, which is going to be in charge. Jesse's going to be in charge of that. Welcome, Jesse. Jesse, welcome. While Jesse integrates, I would like to welcome you all to this afternoon, this morning that we're starting this new class, giving thanks to the energy of the sun, the energy of Mother Earth, the energy of water and the air and the planets, to the energy of sunset and sunrise. And we also give thanks to your energy, your light star, and the energy of your ancestors that have allowed for you to be here today, and that you are the continuity of previous generations, and recognize that we are part of the network of life. So we give infinite thanks for time, for life, for the roads we have walked, and we are all going to put your right hand on your heart and your left hand on top of your right hand, and we're going to say in unison, thank you once, twice, 3 and 4 times. I bring from my being thanks. Thank you for the energy we have received in the 7-9 months of gestation, and thank you for the energy of my birth. Thank you for the energy and the light of my road. From the time I was born, from being a girl, teenager, young woman, and adult. Thank you. I bow my head to everything that I have lived before, the sadness, the diseases, the bad feelings I've felt, and everything that could have made that my star shine less bright. And I bow my head to those energies, and with all my heart, I thank for them, because they have allowed me to grow, and I let them go with thanks, with gratitude, that the winds of the north transform them in energies of life, that the clean, sweet water and salt water clean and heal everything that could have pained my soul, my heart, my body, and my spirit. And I thank all the smiles, all the happiness, all the health, the love, the happiness of life, everything that has made me flourish. I thank for it, and I bow my head to that energy as well. And I also thank for the energy of my mother, my father, my ancestors, that have allowed me to exist, that have allowed me to awaken and walk to today. I thank all my emotions, all my feelings, and I thank all my thoughts, my reasoning. And today, in this day, in the energy of today, I ask for balance, harmony, happiness, and content for this territory that is me, for all the women of the originary peoples, the women of all the peoples and civilizations, for all the childs, for the children, for all the youth, for the grandparents. And I ask that every day flourishes for them as well. And we ask for life, justice of our peoples and of all the peoples that have been destroyed, that have been depleted and depredated, for all the rivers, lakes, and oceans that have been polluted, the sacred earth that has been polluted, or the water sources that have been polluted. I ask so that we all assume collectively and individually their responsibilities to be a part of clean and weave the network of life. So be it. Thank you to you all for your energy and your life. And with this energy, I give the welcome this morning, asking Jessie if she would like to add anything. We would thank it. I thank her with all my heart. Thank you, Mayora Lorena. Today, here in Mexico, we celebrate Mother's Day. And as a result of that, I would like to share a poem that is called Eyes from Nadia Lopez, an Indigenous poet writer. My mother says I have the eyes of my great-grandmother. I remember her eyes while she cleaned corn. A lot of times I saw her cry when she cooked, when she sang, when she made coffee. I asked her, "Why do you cry so much, Mom?" And she would say, without crying, "Because we have rivers inside and sometimes it pours out. Your rivers still don't grow and they soon will. And now I understand everything. Now I have rivers inside me and in my eyes." I share this poem because I think that sometimes our mothers always try to show themselves as very strong, but before their children. But I think that it's good to know that it's valid to be sad sometimes and cry and let out everything that hurts us. So I also invite you to put our hands to the height of our womb to thank for our women, to thank our mothers for their care, because they educated us, they taught us the beauty of our indigenous languages, the value of earth, the value of water and fire, of the air and the sun. And now let's put our hands at the height of our hearts so that we can feel and think and reflect on the impressive and wonderful fact that in a body you can have two hearts beating at the same time for 9 months. And let's think profoundly, let's give gratitude, profound gratitude to our mothers and grandmothers for those strength that they give us and that unconditional love they provide us, and for their wisdom that they got with which they guide us throughout our lives. Thank you to you all. Thank you so much, Jessie, for this moment. And thank the energy of Mother Earth, the energy of Mother Water, the energy of all our mothers, the mountains and sacred places, and to thank to all the beings that have been our mothers, our friends, and energies of light. Thank you so much. And now we're going to ask you voluntarily for participation of those who can tell us what is maternity to you. Any volunteers who would like to share with the rest of us, what is maternity to you? What does it mean to be a mother for you? If any of you would like to participate and give an Nai, welcome.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, good evening. To me, to be a mother is not just giving birth, but I'm given an opportunity to be part in the creation, and I'm given an opportunity to build a new generation that need to transmit what responsibility I have learned from my parents and from my community to be mainstream into them. So I'm part of the creation, and I'm also part of the building a destiny of many through responsibility, character, needs, and the cultural transmissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nai. Anybody else? Vivian? Welcome.
Thank you. Greetings all. So to me, to be a mother means to be a selfless person, because when you are a mother, it means you put everybody else's needs first before yours. Drawing from my own childhood experience, I would see my mother when we have limited food, maybe fruits, when we have one fruit, I would observe my mother giving us, and she would just stay without sometimes eating or eating less than us, just to make sure that we are okay. So being a mother is all about giving and caring for the other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you to Vivian and Nai. Is there anybody else? There was someone else? Somebody else wants to talk? Welcome. Okay, we're going to continue then, thanking the energy of today and the wombs that carried us and the mothers, the loving mothers that took care of us, and to the energy of Mother Earth. We continue now with our today's session. And I would like to ask you, we're going to have 3 different moments. The first moment is the collective invocation. The second moment is we're going to talk about what is environmental justice and what does it imply for us and environmental justice. And in the third moment, we're going to socialize the experiences and the work that you have done. And finally, we are going to have a guest who's going to accompany us. This is going to be the 3 moments of our session, and we're going to hope that afterwards that we can speak briefly on what would be the map of actors in this process of incidents from what you have worked. So based on what we see time, we're going to move forward. We are going to ask you, what is environmental justice to you? One or two opinions. 2 or 3 opinions, sorry. What do you understand when we say environmental justice? I don't know. Can you hear me? What do we understand by environmental justice? Wendy? What is environmental justice? Vivian, go ahead.
According to me, environmental justice is taking care of the environment, conserving all the natural resources that are found in the environment in a way that utilizing all the resources that exist in the environment sustainably. If it is maybe using water, you utilize water in a way that it benefits the current generation without compromising the benefits of the future generation, for the benefit of us as human beings and also for the benefit of the environment itself. That's according to my understanding. Thank you.
Now we have Nye and then Daisy. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Jessie. Nye, we hear you.
Yeah, for me, environmental justice is all the inclusiveness of everyone in terms of different involvement in environmental conservation, environmental protection, but also in seeking to understand the livelihood system of the communities in that locality, in order to have them fully engage at a different perspective in the regulative systems or legal frameworks that are there or set in order for the environment or the sustainability of that environment.
Thank you, Nye. Daisy. We can hear you. Your audio is off. Go ahead. Your audio, I think, is still off. We can't hear you. Daisy, we can't hear you. But while we wait for her, let's welcome Jessie. Thank you. I think justice, environmental justice, has to do with the care and the respect of Mother Earth, of considering her more than just a resource, a living being that has rights. And within all that, as human, we play a fundamental role that I think starts with that, creating conscience that the environment is a living being that also has right to develop and live in harmony. That's it mainly. Thank you. Thank you, Jessie. Daisy, are you ready?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot my laptop audio was not working. So according to my understanding, environmental justice is, let me use my indigenous thought. It is the meaningful involvement of everyone in the society, including the elderly, the youth, the mothers, and everyone, in conserving the environment, in ensuring that if there's laws that are supposed to be taken or undertaken in conjunction with the environment, as a team, we come together, we involve each other meaningfully, we ensure we enforce all the laws, if it's maintaining nature as it was. Yeah.
Thank you, Daisy. We're going to welcome Nai. Nai, we hear you? Naina?
Good morning, teacher, and all my sister. Yeah, for my understanding, environmental justice is embodies the nurturing care and respect for Mother Earth, ensuring equitable treatment and protection for all communities and ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you for. Go ahead, Fatima. Welcome.
All right, thank you. I think environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of their origin, their colors, like what people are having in common. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are going to thank, and I thank all the comments that you made. We have a lot of clarity of what environmental justice is. And we're taking into consideration that environmental justice is to overcome the challenges of the environment, to speak about the network of life. Can you hear me? Somebody's mic is open. When we talk about environmental justice, we're talking about life. And we're talking about justice to the network of life and all the natural assets that make up the network of life, recognizing that these are beings that are alive, as Jesse was saying, not only the cosmos, the seeds, the environment, the animals, the flora, the fauna, they're all living beings, but they're also beings with rights. So we're going to say that environmental justice is that historical right that the indigenous communities have in regards to their ancestral territories, to the natural assets that exist in those territories, and the rights of those assets like water, clean air, and all the different means of life associated to those natural assets through the generational application of human rights that are already in international instruments of collective rights, which is another fundamental factor, because we are overcoming that individualistic view, and we are recognizing the rights and the life of natural assets as beings with which we live as part of the network of life. And we talk about collective rights because we overcome that individualistic vision. We're also going to talk about the biocultural rights, meaning earth, water, and the rest of the assets have rights, and they feel and they vibrate, they ache when there is depletion and environmental injustice. All that network of life is de-articulated and destroyed and created, and it's pained not just humans, but also all the beings that make up that part of the network of life. And speak about environmental justice also leads us to talk about collective rights and biocultural rights that allow us to have health and to have life, not only for us, but for fish, for seeds, for forests, and all the beings and elements that live and have a life, as well as the dignity of all the beings, people, nature, and cosmos. And the right to a healthy environment that is safe, and healthy environments, not only for us. From us as Indigenous women, we have to say environmental justice is for that network of life. So that safe environment is for the bears, the birds, the is for the fish, is for all the animal species, minerals, seeds, forests, and for people. For example, let's think we deplete a forest and you disappear the habitat of all the species, the seeds that live in that forest, that have their ecosystem and their life system within them. You depleted, you polluted an ocean, a river, and there you put in risk the food and the healthy environment of the fish and all the animals that are within the ocean. So for us, environmental justice is from that perspective. Not only justice from our perspective and for humans only, but also for all the elements that live in the network of life. And you were also mentioning it's to guarantee life for the current and future generations, is to take care of the fact of what are we going to leave behind for the generations that are coming, but not only the human generations, but also the generations that make up the network of life. Environmental justice is also the measures that are taken as collective based on our collective rights and the biocultural rights before all the actions in the territories, in the indigenous territories and their population. And the central element that bring justice is an act of justice that implies that the countries that are enriched go to we move on to that, to a political environment. And so that these countries that are enriched, that are defined as first world, as civilized, as developed countries, that have built their riches based off of the impoverished countries and exploitation and depletion and destruction of all the living systems and the network of life, recognize their obligations, their responsibilities, their environmental responsibilities, and to the originary peoples and to the people where they have depleted, to their territories and Mother Earth, to water and to the forests. They assume the responsibility. Today, global warming is impacting all the territories. It's my responsibility. There's a part of our individual responsibility, but the big responsibility is had by that economic system that has sustained itself in seeing Mother Earth, water, forests, and all the cosmos and the natural assets as a resource that is exploited and then discarded. As long as our cosmovisions as women and originary people is that everything has a life. We are only the center. We are a part of that network of life, and we depend on that system. And if we destroy it and we deplete it, we are ending our own life, our generations, but also the generations that are within that system, which is why we say those countries sustained in that culture of death, in that focus of civilization and progress, have been the main causes of environmental injustice. And for that reason, they need to be the first responsible to take on and recognize their obligations in the indigenous territories and in all the territories where they have depleted and destroyed the network of life. What are the impacts, the social cultural impacts that we have? It's that environmental injustice that these countries have perpetrated. I don't call them rich or developed, I call them enriched as a result of their exploitation of territories and people. The first one is the abuse and the extraction of natural assets. They have abused, they have destroyed, they have considered themselves a center, they have dominated and depredated and been predators, and they have generated genocide and ecocide. And these measures must be assumed for the restitution of a historical debt that these states and these companies have done in relation to this abuse and this pollution. This is what environmental justice means. Who's responsible of the depredation and those social cultural impacts? It's them. They must assume the responsibility. Also, environmental justice has challenges. The first one is that the countries that are exploiters and racists that have become rich spite of life and all that system of the network of life, they must recognize their environmental obligations towards those countries that they have impoverished. And what is this translated on? To respect and recognize the collective rights of the peoples and Indigenous women, respect and recognize the rights of natural assets, Mother Earth and the territories, to recognize that people, originary peoples and women of originary peoples are not below them, beneath them. We also have rights, and we're also subject to rights, specific and collective. And after that, they recognize that that water, those rivers, those oceans, the earth, the seeds have life. They have rights. They feel, and that they recognize and respect those rights, and that they recognize it in their constitutions. In very little countries have these rights been recognized. The rights of water, the rights of the seeds. So that's another one of the challenges of environmental justice. And another fundamental point is that these countries must rest and assume this with responsibility, that they must restitute the environment that has been depleted, and they must provide restitution to the peoples as well. How are they going to provide restitution and heal what they have destroyed? They have a great responsibility to do that. Also, what do we define as environmental justice? To respect and preserve natural resources and Mother Earth, and know that they have life and they have rights. That we can't forget that they're not resources, they're assets, and we're going to eliminate those terms from our documents so that we say those are natural assets. Why? Because they add to us, they give us life, and because of them, our life exists, and that's what our life depends on. And if they take care of us, we'll take care of them, and if they serve us, we'll serve them. So environmental justice implies the rights of the natural assets on Mother Earth, and it implies the respect and recognition of human and natural rights, and the rights of women and originary peoples. And it implies also that co-living, and that recognition that we are not the owners of waters, we are not the owners of the earth, we are not owners of the animals that live with me. Those are other beings with which I live, with which I learn, that give me life and take care of me. That's why, how do I promote from environmental justice that relationship of habitation and respect and protection and defense, and the rational use of natural assets, water and earth in our territories. Also, environmental justice leads us to think on that vision of preserving and saving life. We can't think, oh, I will live more. I will take care of the assets until I die. No, I'm going to take care, love, respect, and thank all the elements, sacred water, Mother Earth, the forests. I'm going to defend them so that I can preserve the life of the generations of children and youth, men, women, of seeds, of plants. That vision is not just for us or our human generations, but also all the generations of the network of life. Respect implies to respect and take care of life and the current and future generations of fish, of seeds, of birds, of trees and flowers and minerals and people. That's environmental justice from our cosmovision as originary peoples and as women. It's also the right to health and provisional medicine. What happens if in our territory there are mountains, there are forests that grow, and we have medicinal plants and we have them close, and we go to look for them and we continue going to them, that the right of health and is still alive. But what happens if those forests are depleted? If cement companies or oil companies are there, what happens if that forest disappears? Also, that network, all that health, all that system of medicinal plants disappear that have to do with the right to peoples and our ancestral knowledge. So environmental justice also leads to traditional medicine and the right to the right to traditional medicine and food in a sustainable way. A grandmother would say peoples are autonomous when of the 10 foods that they consume, the 10 of them produce. That's autonomy. That's environmental sovereignty, because their food does not depend on the outside. When you start debilitating it, we become dependent. So the right to food in a sustainable and autonomous way is one of the fundamental elements for self-determination and free determination of women and kids. And it's a part of what environmental justice is. When we have earth, means of life, to produce, not only for people, and we can do it in an autonomous way without depending on agrochemicals and other instances. From our territories. And also environmental justice has to do
with the right to life, with the life, the forest, and cosmos. So there is right. Water has right, cosmos has a right. Today we're exploiting and exploring the cosmos. They're exploring, they're respecting that autonomy, that life, those rights, and the right to reflect on the territory, which goes beyond the physical space. It's that territory, that's cosmogonic space, energetic space, cultural space that we build together, and the respect in the spaces, the sacred spaces, in all the towns, the rock, the water, a forest, a hill. Those are sacred spaces. And what had happened when you have Dutch people coming in, when you have mining and other ways of exploiting, when they take over the lands. And in those spaces and in those practices of destruction, our sacred spaces are eliminated. And that's what I was mentioning in the past. We don't have where to have the waters, because the oil companies have destroyed those hills and those sacred spaces. That's why the environmental justice is recognizing respect and the care and the defense of those spaces. What strategies are there for environmental justice? The first one, organization. How are we going to defend ourselves? How are we going to talk about environmental justice? Organizing ourselves as women, as a town, as a community, in our territory. This could be at the local level. to sustain itself in the global part. That's a big challenge that we're talking about. And that's one of the fundamentals that we're talking about for environmental justice. Other actions? For the good of life to take on the role to restitute and restore life in the territories and respect the rights of Mother Earth and the collective rights of people, of the women and the men, which are to have incidents. Without political incident. Another thing is to have the judicial part to go and look at the international legal frameworks to reclaim our rights. That's one of the fundamental rights that we talked about for environmental justice when we talk about the judicial law. That's why we need to be empowered in that framework, with the legal framework. Fundamental rights for environmental. Environmentally and to starboarding, self-sovereign, is empowering of ourselves, of the women, as subjects of rights, individual rights, specific rights, subject for collective rights as town, and to empower ourselves that take of water, that those rivers, those oceans, those forests, they all have life as well, and they have rights too. And those are the strategies to have to strengthen and keep going towards justice, to environmental justice. Another of the strategies for women to keep moving, it's recognizing our spirits. There's something specific for our sister, our spirit, to come back to us. And that they restore their dignity, their collective dignity. Our identity, our trust in our own strength. Like this goes beyond to find balance. For the animals, for the ocean, who have suffered depredation as well, who has also suffered violence. For the right to restore ourselves. The collective justice. To restore and restore the life, to recover the balance. That's the justice that we're talking about. That's the justice that we're talking about. When there is contamination, when there is when there is rivers, and that's healing. They're gonna heal. We're gonna clean path, individuals and collectively, of the colonize ourselves, get away from the patriarchy, heal from the structural system and cultural system of violence that there is right now. Heal from everything that has generated pain, from the racism, of the inequality, of the way of doing the means of the government and how of researchers to recognize that we are sisters, that this is our mother, and then empower the collective identity of our cosmovision, of not seeing to get on the ground and kiss the land, to not be ashamed of speaking our languages, of strengthening our energies, of taking care of the sources of water, to reforestation, to restore our energies, to restore our sacred places, to speak about the seeds, to talk and ask for advice to the grandparents and the grandmothers on how they can take care of the land. What to do when how to do when they cut a tree, what to do afterwards. How was it then to heal the rivers? That's the empowerment that we talk about from their wisdom. That is fundamental as a strategy. Another one is just because the studies are fundamental for this, because they're going to give it in the context, in global context, and locally, community-wise, in the territory. They're going to talk about the issues that we see in most of the cases of environmental injustice that we see, or the violence against women, or the types of violence, because the environmental justice is just a form of violence against the towns, against women, and natural resources. So when we talk about in our studies and present those knowledges and the knowing in social justice and social knowings and social experiences, we're going to civilize. We're going to show them that there are our own knowledge of that take care of Mother Earth, that take care of the life of women, and they take care of the different generations. And we're going to say we're here, we're alive. We have our own system. And with the help of other systems, of other founds, and we're going to reconstitute. And we're here, we're standing, and we're not falling down to you. And we're going to defend life. That's another element that is very important, another strategy. And then the organizational strategy as well. We're going to talk about different processes of incidents if we're weak organizationally, if we're weak politically, if we're weak in our own recognition of the town, if we don't know our own identity, our own cosmovision, our own system. This is fundamental as a strategy to strengthen our organizationally as women, as a town, in our territory, articulating, making alliances, because alone we won't be able to. First, to articulate as from the family, as a community in the territory, articulating with others whom we share interest, common interest, with whom we have demands towards justice, environmental justice. Insert network of women and indigenous towns of women locally, regionally, and globally as well. That's the strength that we're looking for. Even if we are in different territories, we are in the common territory, in Mother Earth. And we talk about environmental justice, and we promote it. Another element, another strategy that we talk about is the mobilization, is the visibility, and the organization and communication. Fundamentally speaking, to mobilize. And we said in the last meeting, in the last session, mobilization from that wisdom, where we don't know we don't that risk, but through our principles of life, we mobilize. Let's not stop thinking this is going to happen, this is what I'm going to do. No, we got to be in movement. We got to demand. We got to articulate. We got to make a move. We got to make a path and visibilize that they see us, that they recognize us, that they recognize our voices in an organized way. And this is fundamental to have the communication. Communication as a strategy. Communication from our own languages, from our own points of view. As communicators, indigenous communicators, with youth, with grandparents who are communicators. And people who are wise to give that knowledge to the towns to denounce. I'm going to ask for that environmental justice. and political incidents and judicial way. This is what I wanted to share as a starting point so that we can all talk about and go about to present how we're gonna go and make progress in that incident, which is exercise for today. So we'll do the same procedure that we've done. We're gonna start talking about with Africa. So please open up your cameras. And also for the peers to listen to us and they can see that we're talking about them. So please open your cameras. Those who can, please. It doesn't matter where you are, where the idea is that we're here, that we're present, that we can share. We'll start talking about, we'll start with Africa first. And then we're gonna do the exercise, the next exercise. Everyone's gonna listen too, but we're gonna pay attention to Africa, Abdayala. Abdayala first is gonna observe, is gonna listen. Also, well, just like the other ones, the other two regions, but specifically Abdayala, then they're gonna comment on their presentation, on the presentation of Africa, basing on two questions that we're gonna look at that. How do you see the leadership of the women when I present this action? And how do we see the organizational way and the capacity? And which one can we find? So Dayala, for Jesse, Liz, Jenilyn, Tamay. You're gonna observe the team and then you're gonna take notes so that you can then comment. So let's begin first. In the order first, we talk about Africa, Abdayala, based on that question. How do you see the leadership? How do you see the capacity to make incidents? And what limitations do we see here? What is lacking? How can we improve this incident issue? That's how we're gonna have. It's a presentation for 7 to 10 minutes max. So I'm gonna ask Dunan to, when Dunan tells us, guess when we have 2 minutes, all right? When she puts her hands in the club, it's that we're done with it, okay? So please, we're gonna start with Africa, so please, for your presentation, you already have I don't know if you have any questions right now before we begin. If not, we can begin whenever you want. Whoever is gonna be speaking for Africa, please do so. Africa, are you ready?
Yes.
We're gonna say welcome. We're gonna give you a big round of applause so that we can begin whenever you want.
So Daisy, we will be doing our presentation here. We did not manage to record.
Yes.
Okay, Daisy, you can start.
Okay. I hope everyone can get me now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So as the African sisters, we had a discussion and we agreed on the stakeholder engagement. We are going to use my project as an example. And the title is Challenges Faced by Indigenous Girls in Try to Access Education. And in this context, I am going to act as an Indigenous mother or woman in the Pokot community. Nai is going to be a local teacher in a local school called Chepukat. and Vivian is going to be the researcher. It's so unfortunate we couldn't access Fatma because she was out of internet. So Vivian, you can start.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Teacher Nai.
Hello, Vivian. Welcome to Chepkati Primary School.
Thank you very much, teacher. So my name is Vivian Chepto. I am a researcher undertaking intercultural research course. And one of the requirements of the course is that I undertake a research on the issue that affect Indigenous women from the community that I come from. And using the energy from the Mother Earth,
Nai, you're here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so Vivian is the one whose internet got lost, right?
Yes. I'm the one who respond to the question from Vivian.
Okay.
I think we lost Vivian.
We lost her, right? We lost her. She lost her connection.
Yes.
Can you continue without her?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I can as well continue being the researcher. Then when it comes to the time of the mother, Nai is going to interrogate me. So good morning, teacher. Okay, her name is Cherop, a Pokot name. That's what we give her. So good morning, teacher Cherop.
Good morning, Daisy. You're welcome to Chepkati Primary School.
Thank you very much. My name is Chepkopuz. I'm a daughter of the soil and I come from the other side of this constituency. And I'm glad to be here today. I'm glad to have met you. I didn't actually know if there are any female teachers around. So I'm an intercultural research student and I was undertaking a research in issues and challenges faced by our Indigenous girls in this community. Being the teacher, I thought it will be very needful and helpful to come and talk to you so that you could tell us in this school of yours, we have some few questions that we would like to ask you. And one is, how is the situation in the school? Like, what is the ratio of girls to boys? How do you see like the girl child education, the ratio, the number of participation and all that?
Thank you so much, Daisy. First of all, as the only female teacher in Chepkati Primary School, I'm glad that you're doing a research basing on issues of understanding the female or girls attending their school, attending their education. Here in Pokot community, first of all, you need to understand that Pokot community is a patriarchal community where men dominate in terms of almost everything. And still, the Pokot community is one of the communities still bound to its traditional and practices because of their mode of their livelihood and others. So we are getting difficulties, and one of the challenges that we're facing is less education to girl child. And here we're getting a big ratio in terms of a number of girls in school. For example, in a class of 50, we find only 10 to 12 girls, but the rest are the boy child. So that's one of the challenges that we are facing. All these are cascaded by the traditional practices that we have, whereby young girls are married at the early age, but also we have issues of female genital mutilation. When already performed to a girl child, she is forced into attaining into marriage. But you know, also in our community, bride price is one of the issues that make men continue taking girls into marriage at an early age. And we have nothing to do because that is our tradition, and that is one of the things that is affecting us. But as the female teacher here at Chepkati Primary School, we highly recommend a number of issues to different NGOs who are working at the community level to continue sensitizing and bringing awareness to the community to understand the importance of education and give the girl child, even the boy child, the same right in attaining their education. But also as a researcher, a young researcher, we would like also to recommend something as an advice. While meeting the traditional leaders, please try to show in a way that they are able to understand you and take something that will make them know that it is also important to continue educating young girls or a girl child to get her education. Like you are now an example in this community, despite the fact that I'm not from that community, but I'm giving their name. So we need to have people like you. Teachers will come from other communities, but also from our community to be an example for our children or our families or our community to continue enhancing education. Thank you so much, our new researcher in town.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Cherov. And I see Vivian is back. So Vivian, you can kindly keep up with the questions. She has given the recommendations. Kindly go ahead. We are not hearing you.
Well, I can listen to you. Keep talking.
We can hear you.
Yes, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You can keep going. Fabian, we listen to you.
Vivian, we cannot hear you. Can you unmute?
We can hear you, Vivian. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Vivian,
Yes,
keep going.
Vivian.
You can listen.
I'm fine, thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, my daughter. And I think coming from this community, I'm very glad you can speak the language. You know, for us mothers, we don't know English. And I think there is a mistake you did that us, as you know, we are women and we have to guide you. You have to introduce yourself. Which clan are you from? Mhm. Now you see now you are my grandmother. My grandmother was a Saniak. Now you see you are home. So feel comfortable. You can have a seat. You are home. Don't worry, my daughter. I'll give you the answers you want. So you said I use my household. It is okay. You know, I trust you. The fact that you are dressed in our attire, you speak our language, I feel safe. So first of all, I'm a very blessed mother. I'm blessed with 12 children, 7 girls and 5 boys. And when it comes to education, I will not lie to you, my daughter. You understand this community of ours. I'm even shocked that you are you speak other languages, you are doing research, or what did you call it, and all that, which is a very good thing. For me, out of my 7 daughters, 4 unfortunately have been married off. It's not because I wanted, but it's because I don't have any voice in this house. As you can see, everything belongs to the husband. I myself am called a child to my husband. So when my girls grew up at the age of 13, when they get to 13, they are married off. And one thing that really hurts me as a mother, as this Indigenous woman, is, for me and my past generation, circumcision was not a big issue because we did not know the challenges, we did not know the issues. But now, when it comes to my children, I would not want to pass this thing to them. But it's so unfortunate my husband forced them so that they can be seen as women. They can't be valued as women without circumcision. But I know, with the little knowledge I've seen from other women doing good that we have met with in these small meetings, it is not a good thing, but there's nothing we can do. So out of my children, I remain with 3 girls at home right now, and one is in level 1 of education, the other one is in class 2, and the other one was supposed to get to grade 7, but because of the government policies, my daughter, I know you are learned. I thank God because of the policy of free education that was brought to this country. The policy was very good, but now it was not as free as it was said. I think that is something that should be reviewed. We are supposed to pay little money for education. I think, as you can see down there to my farm, I have a very, very large herd of cattle and goats. But my husband cannot sell even one to pay the 200 shillings for my daughter to do her exams. So that is one big challenge. It is not free education as the policy states. And the reason why my daughter dropped in standard 7 is because there is another policy that the government introduced, which is called the CBC. This policy has really ruined a lot of things in the community. The girls that were trying to study, when they get to standard 7, the policy states that they should move to another school. The policy states they should buy a different set of uniform, different color, different shoes. They have to go and sleep in school. And this policy, it came so sudden. The government did not come and explain to the community so well. So we suffered. We could not afford as mothers. As I told you, the fathers do not really care about it. So that is one thing that has made our girls drop out of school. For the other ones, it's just because of lack of school fees. So one main challenge is lack of money. Second one is early marriages. There is the issue of FGM, and there is the issue of early pregnancies. So those are the issues I can tell you, my daughter. Yes, for us, when it gets to 12 p.m. on a sunny day, we all go and converge at the village square. There is a very big tree that is very sacred to us. As you can see, I'm already dressed up. I cannot go without this or this. This is my heritage and all that. We are going to sing, we are going to dance, and it is very funny and I don't know, coincidental, because today as women, we are going to sing a song on education. We are trying to tell our husbands education is a good thing to our children. So it's going to be very helpful for you, but I'll have to give you such a bid so that you identify with us. You're welcome, my daughter.
Thank you for the team of Africa for your presentation. I know time will be short for this, but it's very important to listen to you. Thank you for your presentation. The comment, we're going to leave it towards the end after the 3 groups have passed. So I asked my sisters from Atayala just take notes of the questions that I asked so that you can make comments afterwards. Now we're going to leave the space for the group of Adayala, who's also going to present how they're going to accomplish and put into practice the exercise, their incidence practice. from a concrete case that they selected. Are they going to present? Also, the heart is there. Duna was going to give us the heart, and we have 3 minutes. We're all here now. Jenny Ling is here, I think.
Amongst ourselves, we decided to do a social drama on my incidents plan. We agreed that the plan of Liz and Jenny Lynn was associated to environmental subjects that we have already been working on. And that's why amongst the sisters, we decided to do this topic, which is on sexual violence, which is what I'm working on in my research. So I just wanted to confirm if Jenny Lynn is on to be able to start. I think she's already logging in. Jessie and Leaf, can you confirm if you're ready? Okay, we're ready. Well, so our subject is violence, sexual violence on women, to be able to create a sensibilization for the cabildos. The social drama is going to be related to point D, which is the Indigenous councils, and they are not sensibilized, and they don't activate clearly the route in cases of sexual violence against adult Quechua women or elderly Quechua women. So we're going to go to some allies and some organizations so that they can come along for this sensibilization workshop. So I go with Jessie first. Hi, Jessie, how are you? Thank you for greeting me. I know that you are the director of Warimbaura, and I know you're working a lot in topics of children, but I know especially of women with an ethnical focus with your technical team that works from the ancestral language is for the prevention and attention to women for violence based on gender. And I'm bringing my incidents plan, and I would love to see if we could sum up our strength to deal with sexual violence against elderly women, which is something that is not really being discussed. And I think we can sum up to that. And I think we're in the same line of work. And I think we can come together and carry out a sensibilization workshop. I'm working on some kind of I would love if we could join together forces, and here's my incidents plan. Hi, Samai. Thank you so much for your visit. Yes, Warimbaura, we're an institution that is based or focused onto the attention and integral service for the diverse population. And one of our main axis is preventing gender violence. I think this aspect is very important, the one that you want to broach and touch on, which is violence against adult women or elderly women. And it's important to say that we were just thinking that this would be a community that we were going to visit. So you come at a very good time. We thank you for your visit. And we will try to link our objectives as an organization with your research work, that as an Indigenous intercultural researcher, that you reside in the community, I'm sure that we will be able to do a work that is very successful for the prevention and attention to gender violence. Thank you so much. My strategy is that we can do this workshop, as you can see, this incident plan, and that young councils can also participate. Next week, I'm going to visit a young council so that you can come with me and you can also participate in the workshops that we're going to do. Thank you. Thank you. And this first step is very important. And of course, incorporating the perspective of young people with adults' perspective is also very important. We're going to see how we can coordinate our technical team of specialists to collaborate with you in this sensibilization workshop. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse and Juan Imbabura. Well, scene 2. Hi, Liz. Hi, Samai. Hi, Liz. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. I wanted to meet with you a while back. I've been seeing you work as a young council with our sister community, which is the company and other spaces that you are part of, and all your work is admirable, which is why I have asked to have a space with you to tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We want to create an incident plan in our community. I'm looking for alliances and mainly strategic people to strengthen my incidents plan. I'm working in topics of sexual violence, specifically in elderly Quechua women, and in a research process to clear a route that the Quechua councils can activate, and I want to start sensibilizing my community. So the adult councils are a little closed off to listening to the words of young people. And I think it would be a great strategy that you, as a council, can also talk about the experience of women and why it's so important to work together in terms of gender, especially in the case of older women. I don't know if you want to sum up. I'm thinking of some workshops that I wanted to know if you wanted to come together in these spaces. Of course, Amai, thank you as you have listened. This work has been done for many years. It's a fight from our grandfathers for many years that they have been trying to get their voices heard. And our mothers and fathers as well. And this voice of fight has been heard in the year 1989 with so much fight. And the way we got here is we had to take this information through radios, through TVs, so that it reaches all the corners of our country. And we've just achieved this. But through this, we have been able to achieve the situation to be able to have a space in the quorum of the deputy chamber. But we've had a lot of problems, but men saw us as a flower pot more, and that in our spaces, and that women were not going to voice their word, raise their voices. But we have achieved changes to change the condition of women and children because we are suffering violence in different areas. But of course, we can provide support. You tell us how you would like our support and when. There's silence, so we are not translating. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Oh, I lost the mode of my mic. Thank you, Liz. Thank for your support, and I will be contacting you very soon. Because of time, I'm going to move on to the next theme. Eileen, how are you? It's good to meet you. Hi, Mr. Mai. Likewise, how can we help you? Jenny Lee, thank you for meeting you. I'm happy to meet you. I was saying, as a director of the organizational base of the Quichua peoples of La Fifi, I'm so glad that I can have this meeting with you. I know that you have a full agenda, but I also know that all the actions that you are doing are very important for the Quichua peoples. I'm coming here to socialize a small incidents plan that I am doing against sexual violence for Quichua women. And I think that it would be a very good strategy that you as FISI could be a part of this incidents plan so that we can push the responsibilities of each one of the Quichua cabildos that are, or the Quichua councils that are in this area. I would like to invite you to some of the workshops, sensibilization workshops, which is violence based on gender. It's gender violence against elderly women, elderly women, and activation in case of sexual violence. I think your participation would be very important. I don't know what you think. Well, Samai, first of all, it's a great pleasure that you come to us. As PC, you know that we are to Punai at a national level and also at a regional level, and we have also been working on actions that go around that work on the rights of women, and also taking into consideration the violence based on gender. But I would like to know a little more. I mean, understanding that we are already working on those activities, how could we do that synergy, have that synergy with your incidents plan to see if maybe that's aligned with our work and if it's within our priorities. Thank you so much, Shanili. Yes, I bring my incidents plan right here. Here's the objectives and the change I would want and the results within our strategy. And right now I'm looking for an ally. One of them is Warming Babura, that, as you know, is working in topics on situations of violence against Quechua women. I've also worked with young councils that haven't been present because there are other communities that have had some success in this situation, in these kinds of endeavors. As you can see, it's a very clear and short incidents plan, but especially with a lot of achievements I would like to have based on my community. The first thing is I would need your presence within the workshops that I would do in 2 weeks. And here we could even hold a previous meeting of what would be your role within the agenda in this workshop. Okay, thank you, Ms. Amai. Thank you so much. Maybe my agenda is a little tight because of all the activities that we have here with the organization. It won't be so easy, but as soon as you confirm the date, I will try to participate and see if we can do synergy to see what we can help you with. As we have seen, no podemos escuchar a la presentadora. We can't hear the presenter, so we can't translate. Her signal is very low. We can't hear the presenter because, as we have seen, the incident plan of Samai that she has had to work with allies at a local level, but more at a local level, and also at a provincial level and department level, and be able to sensibilize the Quechua councils and be able to have a more clear knowledge. And we have seen within this plan some strategies like bringing together Warning Babura, Lujesti, and looking for meetings with the young councils with all the experience and trajectory they've had with organizational strategies. To have that presence of Janeline with the organizational basis and Quichuas and Sifi, this so that they can also be more sensibilized and be strengthened. And in this way, it's important to form these workshops and everybody gets strengthened. Thank you. Thank you to the group of Central Latin America for your presentation and that you present your route briefly and how you're going to build alliances. Thank you so much to give life and continuity to your incidents plan to implement it. And as you can see, it can't be an isolated or individual activity. It has to be collective. Remember that Asia needs to comment, and then Latin America can take note on those comments, and we're going to present them at the end. Now we give the welcome to the Asia group that's also going to share their exercise, how they think they're going to start their incidents plan in some of the cases that they have selected. Welcome. Are we ready? Yes, welcome.
Hello, sorry. I would like to start because we want to present one of the sister cases here, Florence from Philippines. So I would like to greet you first with the Philippine language, Filipino. In Tagalog, I would like to say, Kumusta? Kumusta ka? Magandang umaga, magandang araw, magandang hapon, magandang gabi. I think that's all. Okay, I would like
Yeah,
to...
magandang gabi. Magandang gabi, TV host Nukila. We're so happy to be here and be your guest. I'm with Miss Naina, Miss Ananya, and Miss Min. Who else did I forget? Everybody? Yeah.
Ananya.
Yeah. So we're just so happy to share with you what we have been um talking about in empowering our women circles and being more proactive in local development. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm supposed to. Yeah. Yes. Kila, it's you.
Yeah, okay. We would like to share you, as you can see from the screen, this is the Agong It Patayan, or purposive conversation at the Sacred Tree Grove on political participation and public life. Okay, how to, for the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. That's the next slide.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
We're in slide 2 already.
Already next slide. I just see slide 1. Okay, slide 2.
Yeah.
As you can see from our screen, the problem of situation is, I think, is everywhere in every country. Every indigenous people happen to indigenous women. The first one, can we share the screen number 2? I don't know how to, because it's not running. Not running, Florence.
Problem situation.
Yeah,
Do you see it?
can you yeah, make it highlight about that?
Who's in charge of the slides of the presentation so that you can hold it, so that you can
Oh,
run it? 'Cause we can't see it.
Yeah. Okay.
You see it?
Not yet. Can I share the slide, Florence?
Okay.
That's the third thing. Thank you.
So I jump out?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. How do I jump out? Stop. Okay.
Okay, let me start my screen. Okay. This is the problem situation. As you can see, it is happening to every single part of indigenous people in every country, every region, particularly to the women. Limited of and lack of effective. I don't know what's happening. This. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we see the second slide. We can see it. No, not anymore, but we used to see
Not
it.
anymore? Oh my.
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Okay, let me. Okay. 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 As you can see from the screen, that this has happened to every single indigenous people, indigenous women. Limited and lack of effective representation of women in local development, planning, and decision making on matters concerning gender-based violence. This is the first one. As you can see, you've been aware during our course that gender-based violence is directed against a person, you know, any kind of gender, and then happen to them, violence to them, particularly disproportionately to suffering for to the women. And then we shall distinguish 5 related types of violence, as we can hear from our course. One is physical violence, our body, and then there is also verbal violence, and then including hate speech, and then 3, psychological violence that could be impacted to our mental health, and then sexual violence, including rape, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and then socio-economic violence. And then second one, about the land. Women own just 20% of this land globally. What about indigenous women? It could be severe. This leaves indigenous women more vulnerable as they are often dependent on male landowner for their livelihood. They also have no say in decision made the land they operate. This is about the land itself. And then about peace building and healing. Women have their own potential actually to build peace in their homes, to build the peace in their neighborhood, in their community, workplace, and society at large. Hence, women participation in the peace building process is essential to ensure sustainable peace and also healing. I'd like to give now to Florence. Florence?
Yes, host Nokila, thank you so much. I would just like to share with you the story, a story about our community on the different examples of the concerns we would like to advocate for, why we would like more women to speak up in public and political life. Uh, you see, just a few weeks ago, there were warplanes flying over our skies. These were from the United States of America, our big brother, and it has been bombing the forest. They say it is because of the rebel camps. We did not even give the permission for these airplanes to fly over our skies. But let me share with you a story about the children who are very badly affected with the conflicts in our land. So this is the story of a 12-year-old boy. He was adopted from a very poor farmer family in a far-flung village when he was a baby. But when he was 5 years old, her adoptive mother died of cancer, also her sister. So the adoptive father was so sad and heartbroken that he joined the rebels. The boy was sent to another family who had an older son. One day, the son was brought home, killed in battle because he joined the rebels. So the boy started misbehaving, and he was maltreated badly by adults wanting to discipline him. So he was rescued and brought to the hospital by the police. The case has triggered a campaign for 1 million doves stop violence against children because we wanted to protect the child because he is a child of a rebel, a resistance rebel, and we also wanted to protect him from the police who are also fighting the rebels. So young mothers created a campaign to call for stop violence, not only for this child but also other children suffering violence. Unfortunately, elders stopped the campaign because they wanted it to be they did not want conflict in the community, so they did not want the campaign to grow, and they opted for amicable settlement. Even then, mothers and children continued to make these paper doves to say stop violence against children. So still today we use the symbol to talk about that we say that we want the violence against children to stop. Maybe my colleague here, Naina, can also has another story about 12-year-old who suffered violence. Miss Naina, can you share us your story, please? Miss Naina? Naina connected?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm.
Please share your story.
Yeah, in 2024, another case of 12 years old girl with disability was killed by the angry man. The tribe of the girl's mother wanted swift justice, eye for an eye. But the tribe of the girl's father opted admit guilt in court. The offender pleaded not guilty and the case took longer. It triggered tension between the tribes, but the mother appealed for calm. Also, a case in a court is the rape of another 12 years old. More cases of abuse and violence against children are unreported because these were subtle. Yeah, actually, um, yeah, mm, girls and women's are violated physically, mentally. Yeah, this is the common issue in maybe in Asia. In our country, Nepal also suffering many children's and women's are suffering from this type of violence. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. So with these examples of cases of, with especially children suffering and women, these are our demands. So firstly, we want to stop gender-based violence and to have all cases be reported. We also want restorative and transformative justice to be obtained. Maybe Naina can also has other demands.
Yeah. Women voices must be heard in counted in decision making and important matters that concern our children and our community. If women is on the level of policy making level, this is more beneficiary for the children and women. Yeah, because
Yeah.
women are more affected.
Yes, so we women we must exercise a right to effective participation in political and public life. And so next slide please. Yeah. So these are the changes we want to see. My partner Naina?
Yes. Can I read one point? Yeah. 30 to 50% of the elective posts in town and village council be occupied by the women who effectively represent and articulate indigenous perspective in local development, programming, and decision making.
Yes, so this we would like to see empowered men and women for principled governance that upholds ethical and moral leadership and effectively responding to indigenous people's rights and aspirations. Oh, yeah. So these are our priority areas for action. We would like to increase engagement in the electoral processes. Next year, we're having the national and local elections. So we would like to see women, we would like to have women leaders formation and capacity building so that they can effectively participate in the electoral process. We'd also like to formulate local policy agenda for indigenous women so that our councils in the municipal and village level will try to make commitments to the realization of this agenda. And we would like our town to be declared a town and our villages as zones of non-violence against women and children. So the councils and the village councils can do a policy to do this and ensure that it is implemented and observed. And we would also, because we are a peace zone, a demilitarized zone, we would like to sustain this status because if there are conflicts and there are armed groups within our town and villages, the women and children especially suffer most. So, Miss Naina, maybe we can share our strategies.
Yeah. First, awareness raising, sharing of research results among women, circle, village, and municipal council, multi stakeholders. Continuing propose conversation with the women's circle and other social circles. Advocate radio program in Women Matters. Writing an article for publishing in various paper.
Mhm. And for alliance strategy, we will be attending meetings of the councils and various social circles, church, school, health, and many business. We'd also like to identify and highlight common concerns and areas of collaboration with the different circles. And we would also like to co-create a technical working group to formulate the local indigenous women's agenda. Next, please. Next slide, please. Miss Naina, can you speak about our communication strategy, please?
Sure. Communication strategy, formulate policy agenda for Indigenous women, uh, and activate radio program on Women's Matter, writing an article for publishing in various paper. Yeah, this is our communication strategy.
Yes, and to reach more and to get people act on our agenda, we would like to activate networks for more conversations, and we would also like to engage senior citizens who will reprimand the ineffective public officials who are not responding to the agenda and aspirations. The grandmothers and the grandfathers are very powerful voice in our community, and we have to respect the elders. So to as indicators of success, uh, concretely, we would like to get 2 to 3 women elected in the municipal or the village councils, and that there will be a very clear and concrete support to the policy agenda of Indigenous women. Um, Yes, thank you, Ms. Nukila, for giving us this platform to speak out our advocacy and to reach out more people. Thank you so much. Thank you to my fellow advocate, Ms. Naina.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you to the Asia Group for their help and for sharing your incidence proposal against the topic of violence against women and children, especially for the political participation. The idea of this exercise is that you could visualize and practice how you are going to implement your incidence plan. I know that it's still in process because this was a personal project. I know we have to build it collectively with women and authorities according to the topic. Thank you to the other teams as well, Africa and Asia. How do you convince, in terms of Latin America, how do you convince the other instances that are specialized in the topic so that they can come together? So that women are empowered on what is sexual violence, so that they can know the routes of making sure that they can denounce the abuse. And in the case of Africa, it's the right to education. How can they do all that process of involving mothers, teachers, one of them as a subject of right, as three very strong factors: mutilation, the long distances to have access to education, and the subject of educational public policy, that instead of generating access, it makes the right to education even more inaccessible. So they're establishing how they're going to move forward to deal with these issues that affect the education of women. And the challenge is alliance. The communication in the case of Africa is alliance with teachers and mothers implied that are involved. And in the second case, how the different councils are going to be involved and reach the objective that is to sensibilize and empower women so that they can come forth and then they can take on and practice that route of that situation. And then finally, the third group is the right to have political participation and have a territory that is free of violence. free of militarization and with a right to participate. And in the last plan, we are presented the change indicators, how we're going to see those changes that we want and the progress of our incident plan. Thank you so much to the three of you. We have some road to walk to finish our research and to build collectively that plan. And we already have some road walked, and we have to finish that research and make sure that we start that plan. You presented today how you're going to do it, and then we hope in the practice we can know how you're going to implement it. And that's for the that's environmental, it's intercultural research for transformation. So we need a document that gives us evidence to build an incidence plan to transform that reality and to achieve that the right to education and the life free of violence and political participation is achieved. And now we're going to stretch. And we're going to give some comments to the Latin American group. We're going to give Latin America the floor so they can give some comments on the Asia presentation, and then Asia presents their comments on the Latin America team, and then Asia comments on Africa. Some minutes. So Latin America, you have the floor. Jesse, welcome. I think it's very important in terms of leadership. Thank you for your presentation, first of all, because I know you always teach us something important in each of these exercises. And as I was saying, it's important that the research, the leadership of the Indigenous researcher is very important, because a lot of the times we're so immersed in our community and in the everyday, and very few times we are capable of looking with a critical eye these aspects, social aspects and cultural aspects that affect us as a society, and that at some point create an obstacle to our human rights, in this case, the right to education. So that you can have from a local perspective, that you can talk on a problematic that needs to be tended to. It's very important because it provides this plus of naming these cultural aspects that are around this problematic. It really called my attention how you were showing us these perspectives, how certain cultural practices are obstacles for this right. You can see it from different perspectives, because we also have this patriarchal system that historically has contributed to racism and classism on education and the exclusion of women in education. Before, only men had access to education. And so it's also coming forth in this historical view of the situation, and on a different side to create this reflection of how in these institutions and these governments with their policies, they create an obstacle, and everything is too expensive and everything is hard to have access to. And another important aspect is that the cultural pertinence of the educational system, I don't know the African context, but in our country, the cultural pertinence in the current educational model is not it's not fair with us, with our Indigenous population, and that becomes a barrier as well when we access this right, because there's a lot of testimonies of Indigenous women how they stopped going to work because they were discriminated, because they didn't speak Spanish, because of their clothing, because of the way they spoke, because of how we lived. So what they did is stop going to school, even though they had the intention of going. And they wanted to learn other languages and other cultures, but the institution itself and the teachers contributed to enlarging this gap, these barriers. And also, I think it's important that you present on strength on the cultural practices, as you're saying, singing, the clothes. It's a very valuable protest that will be very relevant in our places of interest, and of course, the mother tongue, to use our local language to strengthen these bonds of empathy, as you were saying, as within the mother and the researcher, is very important. Thank you for that. Thank you, Jesse. Now we're going to ask for a representative of Asia to comment on the presentation of Latin America, please. Please. A brief comment based on what you saw in the presentation. Nukila, somebody? Who can make the comment on their presentation? Dom, Florence, is it possible? Or Nukila, or who of you can make a comment? Can you hear me?
Yeah. If I don't know, I was waiting for the others, but yeah, I think it's important. What I appreciated also was the that there are champions. That's what I understood. There are champions who are taking on the agenda of yeah, in the parliament. Is that what I understood? And also that there is I think the energy of the young people, I think, is very important. Sometimes mm, uh, the strength of articulating the issue is very important with the young people. And yeah, I think that's sorry, because my signal has been dropping, so I didn't get much. But I think it's important to have champions in the parliament and in different bodies that could influence policy, as well as raise the voice to create action. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom. If Nukila or Naina can make a last comment.
Yeah, I would like to, this is not a comment, just one, maybe this happened as well in Asia, yeah. I just want to know how to transform, based on your movement in Latin America, how to transform, because we are on the ground, right? And then how to transform from movement to the policy changes. Because there are so many agendas, I've heard from your presentation how you are prioritize your agenda, and then can be inspired as well for the young people, young women in your community. Yeah, that's what I would like to highlight, because we cannot solve any problems, right? But how to prioritize our agenda, how to educate the candidates of the legislator, in the parliament, in the government. Also, not only to promote that woman, but also how to make her, yeah, to bring the message from the issue from the woman on the ground. So I just want to highlight about that, because there are so many issues regarding this interlinkage, but how do you prioritize these issues? So I think we need to prioritize one certain issues. For instance, like political rights is very important, because if we don't have the political choice, political rights, what about we cannot exercise social economic rights, right? As well as our cultural rights. That's what I would like to highlight about that. Thank you, my friends, my sisters.
Very well. In the case of Latin America, the route is clear. There are two specific changes. First is to empower women, to recognize the right, recognize sexual violence and other types of violence against women, particularly women of elderly women. That's part of the change they want with their incidence plan. And the other, and the women know that route to denounce the abuse. What can I do? I recognize that I've been violented, and I know how to denounce it. And the next one is that the community councils are more sensible on the existence of environmental violence, and that they take on their commitment as the warranters of protecting women against violence, to provide life to this route to denounce violence against women. So that the incidence plan is at a local level, and it's going to begin starting with incidents on the local level. And incidents can be on two parts. We can't change if we don't empower. We have to do some incidents on the inside. And the second one is towards the outside, towards structure and warranters in the state and other actors of power that have to do with the problematic that we want to change. That gives us, in the case of Africa, it establishes two actors, women, and the other one is the teachers that are in the community. We're going to have an incidence at a different level, which is in the educational policies, the Ministry of Education and the coordination of education at a local level. But they have that clear. What do they want? What's the change, and where they want to implement it? I think that's clear when we say we can establish changes that are not possible, but that they are reachable, that they need to be measured, and that we can see them. And another element is to have clear which partners we're going to create an incidence alongside with. In this case, mothers and teachers. In the second case is women themselves, the councils and other organizations that are specialized in the subject. I think that's another topic that we're going to reinforce, is to create the maps of the decision makers and where we're going to really have an incidence to achieve the change that we want. So the plan, that's why, is made up of the problem, the change we want, the objectives, which actors we want to have an incidence on, and what activity are we going to imply to achieve this strategy. And it could be a short term or midterm, and we know that we're not going to have those changes in the mid and long term, because we know that changes are going to happen in stages. So there's a route, and the idea is that the exercise is to see how we're moving forward. I leave my comment till here, and I would ask the Sisters of Africa that they can comment on the presentation of Asia. please. I think Vivian is there, Nylen and Daisy are on. Do any of you want to comment briefly on the presentation of Asia? Can you hear me? Is any representative of Africa here to comment the Asia presentation? And if not, maybe somebody from Latin America can comment on the presentation of Asia. Vivian, welcome. We can hear you.
For me,
Welcome, Vivian.
what I can say is that I learned about the approach that one can use to approach their stakeholders. So for me, I will integrate that when I'll be engaging my own stakeholders. It was a good one. Thank you.
Great. Somebody from Latin America that would like to comment the presentation of Asia? We have Lise and we have Jesse. Yes, I couldn't hear everything really well, but what I understood is that their incidence route for women is really well done. And they know where to create incidents because it's the subject of women and how they are going to carry out this process with the territory and in benefits of at a local level. That's what I was able to understand, that it was very well structured. Jesse, any comment? Yes, what I could understand is that their incidence is focused on this violence and in childhood especially, and that the family nucleus holds a very important role in the development of children, but we also have around a whole setup of factors and the institutions of government and the social institutions. And so I feel like it's not a subject that it's not really being worked on, but that it's very important because all children, girls and boys, have the right to grow in a environment of harmony. And I think that it's important that they focus on this problematic, and I think that's relevant. And I think their strategies are very clear: sensibilization, the strategic alliances, and communication, like the strategy of moving forth in their incidents plan. They have their subjects clear, which is a life that is free of violence for women and children, knowing that one of the impacts that they are facing is the militarization of the territories, and that brings within itself some problems at every level for women and children. And the other one is political participation of women in the spaces from a local level to a different situation, and they establish what their strategies are going to be. And I think listening the 3 exercises to close this presentation, I would ask all of you, I've been checking Moodle, I don't see all the exercises. You haven't all finished the exercise of their plan, I would ask that you please do it. And those that have already sent it, thank you. You can send it to the platform, and you can also send it to the chat that we already have, so that you can socialize the advance of their plan, and we can do the comments that we need, because this exercise is going to facilitate you having an advance when we're already working in the plans in the communities and in the territories. So that's an element. The second one is key to have the change that we want, to what actors we want to have an incidence in, and our strategy. Those are like the hearts and the pillar that's going to hold our incidence plan. So for that, we have to pay attention. We're going to speak in the next session to strengthen the plan of participants. We're going to say, what is the role? What actions does it implement? And how are we going to create alliances with our key players? Are we going to have an incidence in them or not? And what other relevant decision makers are we going to be with? So I want to thank you for your exercise, your presentation, and urge you to continue. And I hope next Tuesday we will have all the information. I don't feel like we have all the information. And with the exercises that we saw, I think it's going to be easier for you. If you have a doubt, you can always share. Thank you. We leave this up to here. And we go with the fourth part of the session, which is a presentation of the guest. And I leave Dunan the floor so she can share who it is. Thank you for your work and for this session. Our guest was connected, but something happened because she disconnected and she won't answer her phone. Her phone is off, so maybe she had some problems. No, it's not Daisy. It's Wendy. Sorry, yes.
Like that I mentioned, and with this way to continue moving forward. We have few sessions left. We have the meeting coming up as well. So we're hoping that you have the best energy so you can write and accomplish this exercise, please. Just to remind you as well that you are working, you should be doing field work right now, as well as your research, as well with the application of the intercultural, so that we can make continued progress in this sense. We had all May to do the field work, and June to start putting ideas together, processing the information, and start writing down your report. So today's May 10th, we have 20 more days to continue with our research and field. So please, I encourage you. I know that in the few sessions, we're gonna have an exercise to see what progress you've made and see where in that exercise of that research. And just remind you that their homework assignment is to continue. That's where Angela comes in as well, to give us the support so that we can continue making progress. And within this process, create that incident plan, which is also part of the exercise that we made in the field. So to finish the exercise, send it, but you also gonna have to give it feedback and rebuild it again within the territories and communities where you're gonna be working in. We're gonna send another homework as well, and I'll explain it in the Moodle as well. It's not complicated. It's also through the stakeholders that you have. Build that action map. I won't give you instructions just yet. I'm just gonna send you that through the Moodle so that you can work on it and you can have that for the next session as well. Thank you very much. I hope you have a happy morning and good mid-afternoon, good night, and good. It was a pleasure to see all of you. Hugs to all of you, and you all be well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. The class is over.
Perdón.
Hamjambo.